Our economy is highly reliant on fossil fuels for generation of power. Fossil fuels will eventually deplete in the next few decades or so. Then you're going to find yourself asking, then what? Do you know that we have the technology right now to generate energy that could last for the next 100 years or so with minimal impacts to the environment? Everyone knows that we're beginning to see a high demand for energy. We know that our energy demands will eventually deplete our current source of fuel for power. Then you will find yourself wondering, what will we do next? Having done countless hours of research for school projects, I've come to understand how nuclear energy works and what benefits it can provide to our current situation as well as our future. We should consider nuclear energy as a source of power for the future. Today I will be talking about considering nuclear energy as an alternative energy source. We will begin by reviewing our current energy production methods and their impact on the economy as well as the environment. Then briefly we will discuss how nuclear energy was created and works. Finally, we will discuss the benefits and drawbacks of using this technology as a source of energy. Before we can discuss nuclear energy and how it works and could benefit us, we need to discuss our current methods of energy production. Our current method of energy production is bad for our environment and causes our economy to fuel the ever-growing prices for their energies. We currently rely heavily on fossil fuels to generate most of the energy used around the world. These fossil fuels are burned to generate our energy. When these fuels are burned, they produce large amounts of carbon dioxide, which are released into our atmosphere. These emissions released contribute greatly to global warming and our current depletion of the ozone. With an understanding on how these emissions affect the atmosphere, we can't forget those who inhabit the area affected by it. According to an article posted by the website WiseGeek, in the United States, each year over 10,000 people die annually from the pollution effects on their respiratory system. The fossil fuel method for generation of power has been around for over 100 years now. It for now has done a substantial job in the ever-growing need for power. With such a high demand for fuels in the future, we will start to see a depletion of these resources, which in turn could create an economic crisis. With our fuel source for power growing increasingly scarce every day, we need to begin to think about alternative sources of energy production. Nuclear technology has been around since World War II and has been modified from creation of weapons to more economical use for energy production. Nuclear energy was originally discovered during the World War II era. It was developed at the time for the use in nuclear weapons. After the war, it was discovered that the radioactive material could be used for more than destruction. According to benefitsofnuclearpower.com, nuclear energy is produced through a process called nuclear fission. In this process, an atom is extracted from a molecule. This process of extraction causes a nuclear reaction, which in turn generates nuclear energy, which can be transformed into heat or electricity with minimal emissions. The source of fuel for this nuclear reaction is uranium. The process for creation of energy uses relatively little amounts of ore to produce enough power to supply energy to thousands of homes and businesses. Uranium is an abundant natural element found in the crust of the Earth. With several deposits found around the world, the supply of uranium is predicted to be substantial. Using nuclear energy as a source of power has many benefits and drawbacks to our environment and economy. We will start first by identifying some cons of nuclear energy that were discussed in an article on timeforchange.org. One major issue with nuclear power generation is disposing of the waste material because it's highly radioactive. We have programs now that encapsulate the radioactive material and deposit them deep underground where it can continue to break down for thousands of years. It is impossible to make all plants 100% safe. There have been several accidents in the last 50 years, like Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, and Fukushima 1. But for these few incidents, there have been far more fossil fuel source incidents. In light of recent incidents with nuclear energy, it has given major companies guidelines to increase their current safety procedures. After the events of 9/11, there has been an increased risk of terrorists using the plants as major targets that could potentially affect thousands. There have been several new security measures and defense programs established to help further the protection of the plants. Now, with the general understanding of a few of the drawbacks to nuclear energy, we can begin to discover the benefits of this technology. According to an article published by the Idaho National Laboratory, the amount of energy that can be used from one single pellet of uranium, which is the size of a human finger, is comparable to 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas, 1,780 pounds of coal, and 149 gallons of oil. By using nuclear technology, we can begin to depend less on fossil fuels, which in turn could extend the reserves and also drive down prices in the economy. Nuclear energy production emits low levels of CO2, but this in relation to fossil fuel emissions is drastically less. This lower level of emissions could help slow the process of global warming and the ozone depletion. The amount of uranium used in the nuclear process in comparison to fossil fuel consumption for the same amount of energy is much less. With our current fossil fuel reserves depleting and an abundant amount of uranium ore reserve, it's easy to see that nuclear energy will outlast the lifetime of fossil fuels. It's easy to see that the benefits of nuclear technology greatly outweigh the drawbacks. In conclusion, we've talked about the impacts of our current methods of generating power. We've also discussed when nuclear energy was developed and how it works. Finally, we hit upon the benefits and drawbacks to using this form of energy as an alternate source of power. There will come a day when our dependency on fossil fuels will deplete the reserves that we have. This depletion could cause worldwide chaos. This can be prevented. You need to ask yourself, what kind of future do you want your kids to have? If we act now, nuclear energy will help relieve the stresses on fossil fuels and the environment, and help relieve our economy, guaranteeing a future for those who follow in our footsteps.